His hands were shaking, breath coming in ragged gasps. The Atlarid stared at the crumpled body before him, his mind struggling to process what he'd just done. No one had ever seen death before. No one had ever killed before. He didn't even have a word for what he'd just done. Moments ago, the Reagan's taunts had awakened a rage he'd never known was there.
Your elder Meriath,
The Reagan had sneered.
created you first because he was weak, insecure. He wanted validation like a child seeking approval.
The Atlarid had lunged forward, fingers finding the Reagan's throat. He'd squeezed and squeezed until the struggling stopped. Until everything stopped. This was the aftermath of the world's first murder, a moment that would shatter paradise forever. In those days, our world was different. The great city of Seraphim gleamed with streets of crystal, where fountains flowed with waters that could ease any sadness. The air itself sparkled with cosmic energy, and disease and hunger were nothing but fantasies in the horror tales told at night by the fire. The elders, beings of immense power and wisdom, ruled in perfect harmony. Elder Meriath was the first to create mortal life, crafting the Atlarids with his own hands, blessing them with grace and beauty that almost rivaled the elders themselves. Soon the other elders followed, each creating their own races, until finally Elder Moltarion brought forth the Reagans. For countless years all races lived in harmony. Atlarids taught Reagans the art of song. Reagans shared their gift of metalwork. Every new discovery was celebrated by all, and every achievement was honored in grand festivals that lasted for weeks. But over time, things started to change. The Atlarids, proud of being the firstborn, began to separate themselves. They built higher towers and spoke in whispers of their superior bloodline. They began teaching that Meriath wasn't just their creator, but the one true elder, destined to rule all races and all lands. When news of the murder spread, it created something that had never existed in our world before: fear. Reagans huddled in their homes. Other races looked at their Atlarid neighbors with newfound suspicion. What else were they capable of? Elder Moltarion's rage shook the very foundations of the world. When he appeared before Meriath's golden throne, his voice thundered with grief and fury.
"Give me the murderer,"
He demanded.
"A life for a life. Justice demands it."
Meriath's response was not what was expected. Rising from his throne, crowned in light, he declared,
"The Reagan's death was deserved. My children are superior to your crude creations. You should be grateful we've tolerated your presence for so long."
When Moltarion next spoke, his voice was quiet.
"So be it."
Their battle began at dawn. For 40 days and 40 nights, two gods clashed above the world. Lightning split the sky as they blasted cosmic energy at each other. Where Meriath's feet touched the ground, mountains burst from the earth. Where Moltarion's sweat fell, valleys were carved deep enough to reach the core of the world. The mortal races watched in terror as their paradise began to crack and break under the force of the divine battle. When the dust settled, neither elder had won, but something had broken that could never be repaired. The elders retreated to their cities, and there they did something that would damn us all. They taught us how to kill. Armies were raised on both sides. Envoys were sent to the other races requesting aid. The War of the Elders had begun. It would go on to rage for 100 years, transforming our paradise into the scarred world we know today. And it all began with hands around the throat. The first death, the first murder.